The close of the 19th century saw America on the cusp of a new age. The nation was transitioning from a largely agrarian society to an industrial powerhouse. Factories hummed with activity, churning out goods at an unprecedented rate. Railroads crisscrossed the continent, connecting distant markets. This period of immense growth and innovation also witnessed a dramatic shift in the business landscape, the Great Merger Movement. From 1895 to 1905, a wave of mergers swept through the American economy. Thousands of independent companies were consolidated into massive corporations. These behemoths dominated their respective industries, wielding enormous economic power. This period was a time of both great promise and profound anxiety. The promise lay in the potential of these new corporations to drive progress and prosperity. The anxiety stemmed from the fear that they would use their power to stifle competition and exploit consumers. This era of corporate consolidation had a lasting impact on the United States. It shaped the nation's antitrust laws, its corporate culture, and its very identity. To understand the America we live in today, we must first understand the forces that drove the Great Merger Movement. The surge in mergers was not random. It was driven by a confluence of factors. Industrialists and financiers saw an opportunity to reshape the American economy. They capitalized on technological advancements like the telephone, electricity, and mass production. Achieving economies of scale was a powerful motivator. Combining companies reduced production costs and increased efficiency. This was crucial in industries like steel and oil. Large-scale production was essential for profitability. Another driving force was market control. Merging with competitors increased market share and influence over prices. This was appealing in industries with limited competition. Dominant players could dictate terms to consumers. The financial world fueled the merger frenzy. Investment bankers like J.P. Morgan saw profit in consolidating industries. They facilitated mergers and arranged financing. The allure of financial rewards and industrial supremacy propelled the Great Merger Movement. The Great Merger Movement touched nearly every sector of the American economy. It gave rise to some of the most iconic companies in history, forever altering the nation's industrial landscape. One of the most prominent examples is the formation of U.S. Steel in 1901. Financier J.P. Morgan orchestrated the merger of Carnegie Steel Company, Federal Steel Company, and several other smaller steel and iron producers. This colossal merger created the world's first billion-dollar corporation, controlling a significant portion of the nation's steel production. Andrew Carnegie, the steel magnate who sold his company to Morgan, believed that consolidation was essential for efficiency and stability in the industry. Another transformative merger led to the creation of General Electric in 1892. Thomas Edison's Edison General Electric Company, known for its pioneering work in electricity, merged with the Thomson-Houston Electric Company. This union brought together two of the leading innovators in the burgeoning electrical industry, establishing General Electric as a dominant force in the electrification of America. These mergers, along with countless others, reshaped the business world. They demonstrated the immense power of consolidation and the potential to create corporate giants with unprecedented reach and influence. The Great Merger Movement had a profound impact on consumers, but the effects were complex and multifaceted. On the one hand, the consolidation of industries led to lower prices for many goods and services. Large corporations with their economies of scale could produce and distribute products more cheaply than smaller companies. Consumers benefited from these lower prices, making goods more affordable and accessible. On the other hand, the rise of monopolies and oligopolies raised concerns about consumer choice and price manipulation. With fewer companies controlling larger portions of the market, consumers had fewer options to choose from. This lack of competition gave corporations greater leverage to set prices, potentially leading to higher costs for consumers in the long run. Moreover, the quality of goods and services could be compromised as monopolies had less incentive to innovate or maintain high standards when they faced little to no competition. This tension between lower prices and reduced competition created a dilemma for consumers. They enjoyed the benefits of lower costs in the short term, but worried about the potential for exploitation and limited choices in the future. Section 5. A public uproar, voices against monopoly. As the Great Merger Movement gained momentum, a growing chorus of voices began to express concern and opposition. Small business owners, farmers, and laborers felt increasingly marginalized by the rise of these corporate behemoths. They argued that these giant corporations stifled competition, exploited workers, and held an unhealthy concentration of economic power. Journalists and muckrakers played a crucial role in exposing the excesses and abuses of big business. Writers like Ida Tarbell and Upton Sinclair used their platforms to shed light on the ruthless tactics employed by some corporations to crush competitors, manipulate markets, and amass wealth. Public sentiment began to turn against the trusts, as these giant corporations were known. People feared that the American dream of economic opportunity and upward mobility was being threatened by the unchecked power of monopolies. This growing public outrage created a political climate ripe for reform. Section 6. The Trustbusters Stand, Theodore Roosevelt and the Sherman Act. The public outcry against the excesses of the Great Merger movement did not go unheard in Washington, D.C. President Theodore Roosevelt, a progressive reformer, recognized the need to address the growing public concern over the power of monopolies. He believed that while big business was essential for economic growth, it needed to be regulated to prevent abuses and protect the public interest. Roosevelt became known as the Trustbuster for his aggressive use of the Sherman Antitrust Act of 1890. This landmark legislation passed to curb the power of monopolies had been largely unenforced in the years following its passage. However, Roosevelt saw the Sherman Act as a powerful tool to rein in corporate power. Under Roosevelt's leadership, the Justice Department filed numerous lawsuits against trusts, including the Northern Securities Company, a railroad holding company controlled by J.P. Morgan. The Supreme Court's decision to break up Northern Securities in 1904 sent shockwaves through the business world. It signaled a new era of government regulation and antitrust enforcement. Roosevelt's actions did not aim to dismantle big business entirely. Instead, he sought to establish a balance between corporate power and the public good. Section 7. Beyond the Bust, the Legacy of the Great Merger Movement. The Great Merger Movement and the subsequent government response had a lasting impact on the American economy and legal landscape. It marked a turning point in the relationship between government and business. The era of laissez-faire capitalism, where the government took a hands-off approach to business, was coming to an end. The Sherman Antitrust Act, strengthened by Roosevelt's enforcement and subsequent legislation, became a cornerstone of American antitrust law. It established the precedent that the government had a role in regulating monopolies and promoting competition in the marketplace. The Great Merger Movement also shaped corporate governance and business practices. As companies grew larger and more complex, new management structures and organizational strategies emerged. The rise of professional managers rather than owner-operators became increasingly common. This shift toward professional management had a lasting influence on corporate culture, emphasizing efficiency, specialization, and bureaucratic structures. Section 8. Echoes in the Modern Age, Parallels and Lessons. The Great Merger Movement may seem like a distant chapter in American history, but its echoes can still be felt today. The issues of corporate power, market concentration, and the role of government regulation remain as relevant as ever. In recent decades, the United States has witnessed another wave of mergers and acquisitions, particularly in industries such as technology, telecommunications, and media. This new wave of consolidation has raised concerns about the dominance of a few powerful corporations and their potential impact on competition, innovation, and consumer choice. The lessons learned from the Great Merger Movement can provide valuable insights as we navigate the challenges posed by this new era of corporate consolidation. Understanding the historical context of antitrust law, the importance of government regulation, and the need to strike a balance between corporate power and the public interest is crucial for ensuring a fair and competitive marketplace. Section 9. Conclusion: The enduring impact on American capitalism. The Great Merger Movement was a pivotal period in American history. It transformed the nation's industrial landscape and reshaped the relationship between government and business. The massive corporations that emerged became symbols of American ingenuity and corporate excess. Public concerns about monopolies and inequality ushered in an era of progressive reform. It underscored the importance of government regulation in protecting consumers and promoting competition. The lessons from this period continue to shape our understanding of corporate responsibility and the role of government. The Great Merger movement reminds us that unchecked economic power can threaten a free society. Vigilance, regulation, and commitment to the public interest ensure the benefits of capitalism are shared broadly.